Hello and welcome to the Introduction to Sustainability. We are so glad that you're going to be able to join us for the Climate Change Education Workshop for Philadelphia Public School teachers. My name is Molly Cashin, and I am with the Sustainability Teachers Academy at the School of Sustainability at Arizona State University. Our aim is to engage teachers, administrators, students, parents, and others to transform schools into places where sustainability is lived and learned. So our goal is to build the next generation of sustainability practitioners, and that's you. So today with me, I have Andrew. Andrew?
Hey y'all, my name is Andrew Kennedy. I am a student at Arizona State University School of Sustainability, and I'm interning this summer for the Teachers Academy, and I'm super excited to be here.
Andrew, do you want to take it away with our definition of sustainability?
Yeah, so it's not personally my definition of sustainability, but this is the first definition of sustainability back in 1987. It basically says sustainability means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability to meet future needs. So this definition really focuses on the needs side of sustainability. So when we look at our needs, we can define them into these three major categories. The first being environment, and that is, things we need to live, such as clean air and water, healthy soil to grow food, and nutritious food in that soil. The next one is society, and that is basically anything social. So safety, health, education, community are big parts of that, but also the connectedness between humans. And then next is the economy, and that is in a sustainable term, we want to have good wages, fair prices, and opportunities for everyone. These are basically our three pillars of sustainability. You'll hear them as the three pillars of sustainability. I sometimes refer to them as the three E's of sustainability, where it's environment, equity, or society, and economy. And it's just the three basic ways we can define sustainability and our needs. So next, we're going to look at the Venn diagram of sustainability. It shows how environment, society, and economy are all linked, but to have all three is where sustainability lies, right in the middle.
Yeah, and I really like this model for like exploring some of the issues in sustainability because it can be really tactile. And so like you have these areas of overlap, for example, between environment and society. And so you can really define what that looks like and what that means when exploring different problems. So I think it has advantages to use this model, but I don't want to speak for you, Andrew, but this isn't my favorite model.
Yeah, it's not my favorite either. I think it's really good when you're really getting into sustainability to be able to visualize how they are interconnected. But getting into the next model, that's one of my favorites.
Awesome. Yeah, it's also one of my favorites too. So this is what we call the nested hierarchy model. And what you see here is that we have the environment, and then the society is inside of that, and the economy is inside of that. And so one of the ways that we can translate this is that society cannot exist without the environment. And in the same way, the economy cannot exist without society. So it's a way to kind of understand the way that these different domains, as they're called, these different domains are related to each other. Now, one of the interesting things that a teacher said to me in a workshop was like, oh, it looks like we should be having decisions made from the outside in. So we should consider the environment first because it's the thing that allows us all to sustain. But she was concerned because she felt a lot of decisions in her district and in her area were being made with the economy in mind first, which can be really challenging. One of the other reasons I like this model is because if you're looking at, if we're shrinking it down what the environmental capacity is, so we have less resources, you can see that kind of moving in. And then if we are expanding our needs in society, you can see these things kind of starting to like butt up against each other. So being able to play with this model can be really interesting as well.
I just had a quick question for you, Molly. So if economics, they kind of teach how the economy is, I believe it's like limitless. There's no end to production. So how does this diagram kind of differ?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think because of that definition of economics, the economy, you can see with this that like there are absolutely limits to the capacity that the economy can have. Because one of the things that we've seen in looking at sustainability is not just the environmental concerns of something like clothing production, but when we're trying to like push for clothing production, we're also squeezing our social capacity to be able to handle that. So while I might be able to get these really awesome clothes for a really cheap price, it's because it's butting up against what society is capable of producing by squeezing labor out of people and also harming the environment. One of the other ways that I've heard of economy or the economics positioned in sustainability from a couple of economists that are in the School of Sustainability is really we're just looking at how people behave. So we're looking at human behaviors under scarcity. And so that's a really big and important one in sustainability, because if we look at our environment, like this is all we have. And so there is a lot of scarcity to consider.
So Molly, speaking of scarcity, are there other ways we can define boundaries and try to visualize where we are as a society?
And it's a good question because, you know, we have this idea that like we're butting up against this capacity that we have here on our planet. And in 2009, Rockstrom and a team of scientists tried to put these, tried to make them into something tangible that we can understand better. And so he developed this model of understanding what are known as our planetary boundaries, or where the capacity is for our planet to be able to hold humanity. And he called this a safe operating space for humanity. Now, if you'll take a look here, you'll see that all of these are very environmentally focused. And you'll see here also that like, in the middle is the green spot, and that's kind of the sweet spot where we'd really like to be when it comes to planetary boundaries. We don't want to be exceeding them because then it puts our life in danger. And I think that this is a really interesting way of looking at sustainability, but like I said, it's really focused on environmental issues. So if you fast forward a couple of years to 2012, we had Kate Raworth, as part of Oxfam, came up with this model that pairs the planetary boundaries from Rockstrom, which are the ones on the outside edge here, with some of the social foundations that we're seeking to build at the same time. So here we have gender equality, housing, networks, energy. So these are kind of the socioeconomic issues that we talked about before. And the idea is that like we should have this foundation of socioeconomic things that people have, and we should not overshoot our planetary boundaries. And this sweet spot she deemed the safe and just space for humanity. And so the idea is that there's a regenerative and distributive economy. And so that's another great way of looking at sustainability. And it leads us directly into what became known as the Sustainable Development Goals, which were created in 2015 by the United Nations. Some of the things that Andrew and I want to call out to you here on this is that there are some things that look, you know, given our previous definitions of sustainability is like reduce, reuse, recycle, or environmental concerns, some of these SDGs make a lot of sense. It's like clean water and sanitation, life below water, life on land, even climate action. But when you look back at these models and definitions of sustainability that include socioeconomic issues, then these other ones start to make a lot of sense too. So no poverty, zero hunger, but especially, you know, gender equality. How is that a sustainable development goal? But there's actually a lot of ties between gender inequality and unsustainability. Also, another one that I'd like to call out is number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. It's very uncommon for us, especially here in the United States, to think about not just the socioeconomic toll of war, but also the environmental toll. When you look at the definitions and models that we've presented of sustainability as a more holistic understanding of the world around us, these start to kind of come into focus. You know, as an educator, obviously number 4 is something that I really care about, which is like developing critical thinking skills, making sure that people have equal opportunity and access to education, etc. So what you'll see in sustainability, because it is an emerging field and it's very intersectional, it's trans and interdisciplinary. So what you'll see in sustainability is that many people have varying definitions of sustainability depending on where they come from and the context that they have. So yeah, Andrew presented this awesome, like seminal definition of sustainability from 1987, but people have their own definitions based on their background. And this is one of my favorites. So this is a quote from Charles Redmond. And, you know, maybe I drank the Kool-Aid. but he is the founding director of the School of Sustainability, and he says sustainability is an awareness of the connectivity of the world and the implications of our actions. And he goes on to say that it is finding solutions through innovative approaches, expanding future options by practicing environmental stewardship, building governance institutions that continually learn, and instilling values that promote justice. And that really resonates with me, because the more I see sustainability issues and dive into the root causes of some of these issues, there's a very clear connection between environmental degradation and socioeconomic injustice.
And I think an important part of that last part, Molly, is that these are concepts that have been around for forever. It was very much an indigenous way of thinking of everything's connected, and not using more than you need, treating the land like you would treat another human. But we kind of grew out of that almost with colonization. We didn't necessarily treat people like people, but now we can see that in academia, these concepts are coming back into our way of thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good point, especially in the sciences these days, because this indigenous way of knowing, something that we have termed traditional ecological knowledge, is really foundational in our understanding of sustainability. And it may have taken a little while for Western science to kind of catch up to this understanding. But I think you make a really good point. So we also wanted to give you just a quick, brief introduction to education for sustainability. So this is the concept behind our approach, our ways of learning, not just about sustainability, but also implementing it in practice. And this is something that I know that the Philadelphia Public School District has really invested in, not just in the operations side of things, but also, for example, in this professional development opportunity. So just a couple of key points here is that education for sustainability, it develops the knowledge, skills, values, and worldviews necessary for people to contribute to more sustainable living. It enables individuals and communities to reflect on ways of interpreting and engaging with the world. And that one's really important because reflection is such a critical piece of sustainability work that, honestly, I came from a natural sciences background. My undergrad degree is in biology, and I was like, this is what science is. This is the natural sciences. So when I got my master's degree in the social sciences, it was a huge learning curve for me. And the process of reflection, introspection, and understanding my own worldview and my positionality was super important in understanding how to approach problems given my specific context. So a couple of other points is that education for sustainability is a futures focus. So the whole idea here is that we are trying to build a better future starting now. And finally, we are seeking to do that in order to create a more ecologically and socially just world through informed actions. It's very action-based. And so this kind of gives rise to our mission statement at the Sustainability Teachers Academy, is that we want to transform schools into places where sustainability is lived and learned. So Andrew, tell me a little bit more about your experiences in sustainability.
Yeah, so when I, right now I'm doing my undergrad in sustainability at ASU, and I very much went in thinking this was like going to be a skills-based degree, and like learning how to be sustainable, whatever that really means. But through my time, I've realized that it's very much more a lens. Sustainability is how you see the world, how you want to impact the economy, society, anything like that. So I really learned that sustainability isn't so much a subject as much as it's a way of living and a way of learning other concepts. And sustainability there's no end goal to sustainability. It's always going to be going, it's always going to be changing and developing. So, getting to a place in sustainability starts with the first step.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So thank you so much for spending your time with us here today, learning a little bit more about sustainability, some definitions, some models, how it can apply to you in your classroom. We will see you again at 1:30 on Tuesday, August 11th.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.